Hello, everyone. Welcome to the National Landcare Conference for the year 2021, the virtual conference. And the stream is the environmental and climate change stream today, this morning. And I would like to encourage all participants to please submit your questions to the question box that you see on the screen. And we will attend to these questions during the last 5 minutes of this session. Now, let me introduce, please, Dr. Maxine Cooper, who is the chair of Landcare ACT, and Carissa Prius, who is the CEO of Landcare ACT. So over to you, ladies. Please start your session.
Good morning, and Yuma, that's hello in Ngunnawal language. Today we're going to be talking about landcarers in the ACT and how they're meeting climate change challenges in the bush capital. And it's our pleasure to share with you this information, and how we'll do it is we're going to cover what we do under partnerships, bushfire recovery work in Namadgi National Park, Aboriginal Leadership. We're going to outline our Water Watch program and what's happened in rural adaptation. We're also going to outline the huge growth of Stewardship and also our Wellbeing through Nature initiatives. Firstly, however, I would like to acknowledge that we're on Ngunnawal land, where traditional ways of knowledge sharing and managing lands and water have taken place for thousands of years. We acknowledge and pay our respect to Ngunnawal elders, past, present and emerging, and recognise their continuing connection to, care of, land, culture and community. And we extend that respect to all First Nations. This image shows a photo of Wally Bell, a Ngunnawal custodian who we're very fortunate to have as a board member of Landcare ACT. He's sharing his knowledge, as he often does. Also shown is the work of Wiradjuri artist Jordana Angus, looking at Australia through a different lens, looking at it through an Aboriginal lens through the Sustainable Development Goals. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals were born at the United Nations Conference in 2015 and adopted by Australia. It's all about what Landcare's about, transforming our world into a better shape. The SDGs emphasise connectedness, provide an internationally agreed framework for considering issues that really facilitate what landcarers do, which is think globally, act locally. And they emphasise partnerships, collaboration for achieving sustainability. Collaborating to help protect and restore our environment is the essence of Landcare. Here in the bush capital, the last few years have been challenging for the environment and people, with drought, heat waves, unprecedented bushfires, smoke, and most recently the COVID-19 lockdown. The graph shows the dramatic effect of the change in our local climate. The bush capital is burning. We're heating up, as is everywhere in southern Australia. This will transform the landscape. However, much of the ACT is already a transformed landscape, much of it through the work of landcarers. The map on the far left shows the large conservation area of natural bushland. Most of it is in Namadgi National Park, which protects many, many diverse ecosystems and catchments. The beauty of Namadgi is evident in the top left photo. The second map from the left shows how urban areas and non-urban areas that have been restored are across the landscape. Many sheep paddocks, I'm sorry everyone, but time is clocking on, sorry. Many sheep paddocks, including those that once surrounded the now old Parliament House, have been transformed into urban areas with many bushland reserves and corridors. You can see the transformation in that landscape by comparing the middle two photos. And the bush capital is characterised by many, many groups of people advocating for, volunteering in landcare activities, and actually doing something in their own backyard as well as in the public areas. Some of these enthusiastic peoples are here celebrating the local Landcare Awards. These and other landcarers are meeting climate change challenges and also the challenges of COVID in multiple ways, as we'll share with you today. An important way is through building strong partnerships. This year, on the 16th of March, a very significant partnership was formed. The National Parliamentary Friends of Landcare was launched. The photo on the left shows some of us at that launch. This launch is very significant, as I said, because it acknowledges the work of all of us, all right across Australia, of all the land carers. And we were just fortunate enough to be the locals who could attend. Locally, we've had numerous partnerships, including with Ngunnawal people and other Aboriginal custodians, with our citizen scientists, grassroots land carers, rural landholders, young people, government and non-government organisations. The photo on the right reflects the partnership established to undertake bushfire recovery in Namadgi National Park earlier this year. And as you can see, they're pretty excited about what they're doing. Another important partnership for us, which is a first, is being contracted by the ACT government through the Environment Directorate to undertake some of the community consultation for the plan that will supersede the existing ACT Natural Resource Management Plan. Interestingly, a key message was to give the next plan a title that emphasises that priority needs to be given to protecting and restoring the environment, and that people are a critical part of the environment. Here you can see Carissa, more fully than in the little image at the side. This highlights that in addition to biodiversity conservation actions, community education and governance are important. There was also a call from the community to seek leadership on what to do from our Ngunnawal people and to address issues related to the climate change. The consequence of climate change was evident by the extent and intensity of the 2019-20 bushfires, which were unprecedented, as we all know. 17 million hectares burnt, 34 people dead, over 3,000 homes destroyed, and extensive ecosystem harm, tipping some species even further towards extinction. Here in the ACT, 80% of ACT's Namadgi National Park was destroyed, and the fires burnt 87,923 hectares in total, predominantly in areas that had previously been identified as significant wildlife habitat. It was devastating. Not only did the 2019-20 fires burn large areas, they also resulted in large areas, including all of the ACT, being intermittently carpeted in smoke. We went into lockdown to avoid the smoke. Little did we know then that our smoke lockdown and our mask wearing was simply a rehearsal for what was to come, COVID-19. Our Landcarers in Southern ACT catchment group put out a call for volunteers to help in bushfire recovery efforts. More than 1,000 people registered. In response, Landcare applied for and was awarded 3 grants. One from Landcare Australia, one from Wire's Landcare Australia Bushfire Recovery Grant Program, and a larger grant from the Australian Government Bushfire Recovery for Wildlife and Habitat Grants Program. With these funds, we did undertake many efforts. Landcare worked with Southern ACT Catchment Group and the ACT Government in the delivery. Once advertising for specific events occurred, they filled up within minutes. The enthusiasm was overwhelming. We were under COVID restrictions, so could only have 21 volunteers at a time. The project was funded to May this year, and we're now exploring options for continuing this much needed work. The project facilitates Landcarers undertaking restoration activities from weed management, habitat restoration, sediment control, riparian restoration, flora and fauna assessments to water quality monitoring. There's been extensive media coverage, including on the front page of the Canberra Times, the ABC News, and in several other publications. Importantly is the response from volunteers who've taken part of the emotional effect of seeing the areas so burnt. They have said the opportunity to work closely with each other and the ACT Government's Parks Agency people to undertake on-ground work has given them a really strong sense of connection with the environment and have actually helped them heal from the traumas that they've been experiencing as they help heal nature. Many have said that they will come back to the areas they were working in to watch the environment recover. Now over to Carissa.
Thank you, Maxine. Aboriginal leadership is another area that we focus on here with Landcare ACT. So as Maxine mentioned, Landcare ACT works closely with the local Ngunnawal community, in particular Wally Bell, who's pictured there in this image. Wally and others provide leadership on how to care for country and preserve the cultural heritage of our region. One example of this is the Aboriginal Green Army team that was formed in early 2017 by Landcare ACT. And you can see in the image in the centre, the Aboriginal Green Army team restoring an area within urban Canberra. So this group involved 9 Aboriginal people aged 17 to 24 who worked on important natural and cultural heritage sites throughout the ACT region. And local elders, and in particular Wally, provided cultural mentoring for the participants, and Conservation Volunteers Australia, a supervisor, guided the daily activities. The participants were paid an allowance while being trained in conservation land management and other hands-on skills required for working on country. So this project had a focus on restoring the cultural sites in the region, as well as improving areas of natural ecological significance, and it won a 2017 ACT Landcare Award. This program also provided career pathways for the individuals who were involved, including the landcarers, such as the Mulungung Aboriginal Landcare Group and landcarers throughout the ACT, as well as other professionals, building networks with those professionals to secure employment beyond the life of the project. Another example of Aboriginal leadership is the recognition of Aboriginal cultural heritage sites on agricultural land. So the strongest example of this is in New South Wales and involved landcarers from the ACT. The Vincent family of Golian, and Sam Vincent's pictured in this slide, with support from local ACT Landcare network, the Ginninderra Catchment Group, had a cultural survey undertaken on their land to identify significant sites. An ochre quarry was discovered, and the family partnered with the New South Wales government and local Ngunnawal elders to record the site, making it the 13th significant Aboriginal place registered on private land in the state. And Ngunnawal people now have access to that site. The Ginninderra Catchment Group were instrumental in this occurring and worked with the Vincent family prior to and following the registration to run a series of cultural heritage walks at Golian. These shared knowledge about how to foster productive farming while also protecting Aboriginal cultural heritage. And they booked up very quickly and involved numerous rural landholders who were interested in identifying cultural heritage on their own properties. So together with Wally and the broader Aboriginal community, the ACT catchment groups and Landcare ACT, there's now been over 600 cultural heritage walks that have been provided throughout the ACT region, including on urban, peri-urban and rural areas. And this has assisted landcarers as well as the broader community in understanding the cultural landscape of the ACT on which they live. The importance of Aboriginal leadership is increasingly being recognised, and we were very excited last night that Dani Gilbert, a Wiradjuri woman who lives in Canberra on Ngunnawal land, won the Auscover Young Landcare Leadership Award for her work in our community. But Water Watch, the Upper Murrumbidgee Water Watch program is a citizen science program that involves a broad range of community, including scientists and many young people who are involved in monitoring and learning about caring for country. Water Watch is a model of an effective community government partnership that informs catchment management policy and on-ground land care activities. So each year through the Water Watch program, a catchment health indicator report is prepared, and this provides an assessment of catchment health based on water monitoring undertaken by these citizen scientists or land carers. And the information in this is used in environmental decision making. Importantly, in 2019, the CHIP report, which was based on over 2,000 water quality surveys, found that there was a downward trend in water quality, which was due to the Upper Murrumbidgee catchment receiving 40% below the average annual rainfall. And this is a consequence of a change in climate. So these examples of community government partnerships involving land carers are critical in terms of addressing these issues and informing catchment management policy and on-ground land care activities. Rural adaptation. So a little known fact is that within the ACT, there's a diverse agricultural sector with more than 160 rural leaseholdings just within the ACT, and Landcare ACT also works with farmers in the bordering regional area. So Landcare ACT used a Commonwealth Government National Landcare Program Smart Farm Small Grant to produce 7 high-quality videos that show the diversity of ACT's land and regenerative land practices are being implemented. These very short films are referred to as the virtual farm tours, and they're listed in the image that's shown. These farm tours show the range of farming activities within the ACT, ranging from an intergenerational sheep farm in the Territory South, where Landcare grant has been used to eradicate woody weeds, to a pasteurised chicken farm in the Majura Valley, just minutes from the Canberra airport. So these virtual farm tours were an innovative response to COVID, and it allowed the community to get together and experience being on different farms, even though being physically together on a farm wasn't possible through COVID. These films have now been viewed more than 15,000 times, which was assisted through Landcare ACT partnering with the Canberra Times to run a Life on the Land series, profiling the films and therefore raising the profile of sustainable agricultural practices in the ACT. So the growth of stewardship. So I think as most of our listeners would know, stewardship is really at the heart of Landcare. And throughout this presentation, we've spoken about how stewardship operates within the ACT and how it occurs in our natural areas, in the Matthew National Park, in our rural areas through the virtual farm tours, and involving citizen science across the ACT through the Water Watch program. There's also extensive stewardship throughout urban Canberra, with approximately 60 different urban landcare groups and park care groups. And this includes the Red Hill Regenerators, who last night won the Australian Community Media Landcare Community Group Award in the National Landcare Awards in recognition of the last 30 years of restoring the ecology of Red Hill Nature Reserve, which is an area of boxgum woodland right in central Canberra. All of these forms of stewardship are critical to meet the constant challenge of restoring, repairing, and protecting our lands and the environment in a world where nature has been and is continuing to degrade, diminish, and disappear. And now it's become even more important given our changing climate, which is possibly the biggest challenge for us today. As many of you know, that local community land carers to do this stewardship need to be supported by local community coordinators. These coordinators connect community members with each other, they engage with the community to hear their perspectives and priorities, develop local landcare activities, arrange education sessions and on-ground field activities, as well as doing a lot of the administrative tasks that the on-ground land carers aren't interested in doing, such as sourcing insurance, writing the grant application, liaising with government agencies, and really working towards integrating that community and government action. The changes in the National Landcare Program from 2018 led to considerably less national resourcing for environmental purposes, reaching the grassroots community level around Australia. And this significantly affected the 3 local landcare networks in the ACT, the community catchment groups. The ACT government, we're very grateful, stepped in and provided support of around $380,000 in total annually for these groups. And this investment has meant that the local land carers are supported by local coordinators, and there's been an increase in new urban groups that have been formed through this time. So importantly, this funding results in over $2 million in volunteer in-kind hours to maintain the ACT environment. And in addition, over $2 million in grants being sourced.
Fantastic. Thanks. I just want to let you know that we have last minute before we go to Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just speak to our last slide now. So Wellbeing through nature. Recently, Landcare ACT was awarded a grant from the ACT Government Healthy Canberra Grants Program to implement a recovery and wellbeing through nature program. This program aims to improve mental health and increase social connectedness amongst Canberrans through nature-based activities. Growing international research shows that active participation in nature-based activities is clearly associated with reduced prevalence of depression, anxiety, and other health problems. and it also increases social connectedness. One researcher actually explained that connection with nature is valuable and sometimes life-saving for people with mild to severe mental health difficulties, and that's a quote. The return on investment for nature conservation in health has been shown to be over 8 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
And similar findings about the value of landcare and wellbeing are shown in the recent report that's been produced by KPMG and Landcare Australia. So we're very excited about our new Recovery and Wellbeing Through Nature program, which is even more important given the ongoing impacts from the recent natural disasters and COVID, which are shown to increase the risk of poor mental health and social isolation. This program is part of a partnership between Landcare ACT and Wellways and involves a broad range of groups. And it's an opportunity to showcase what landcarers have long been saying, that by promoting and implementing sustainable land management practices that benefit the environment, the individuals involved benefit physically and mentally by connecting with each other and the environment.
Okay, fantastic. Now, that was very informative and inspiring. Let's answer a few questions. So first question is from Ella. Who funded the cultural surveys on private land? Did landholders approach Landcare with interest in having a survey done, or did Landcare offer it to landholders?
So those it was a few years ago now, so I'm just trying to go back. But that was funded. Landcare ACT applied for a grant, and I think that was actually another one of the Smart Farm small grants, actually, where we looked at. That was funded by a number of different projects. One was the Smart Farm small grants, and another one was through Indigenous Heritage Program. So yes, the Landcare ACT and also the Ginundera Catchment Group, the local Landcare network, sourced that funding to be able to provide those cultural tours on the rural land.
Fantastic. Now, next question is from Oscar. Within the ACT, do university or TAFE students find it difficult to get involved in volunteering or employment work in environmental restoration and conservation due to the limited positions?
I guess we're lucky here in the ACT that there is an extensive range of volunteer opportunities for young people, be they getting involved in the 60 odd Landcare groups or being involved in citizen science programs such as Water Watch or Frog Watch. We are also looking at developing a young farmers network. So there is a range of different opportunities. And if there's young people who are in the ACT and interested in getting involved, please get in touch and we'll try and put you in touch with the right people.
Fantastic. Next question is from Sophie. Great to hear these initiatives, particularly the cultural surveys and partnerships with Ngunnawal people. Are there issues around funding the biggest barrier to understanding the group's work program?
I'm not 100% sure what's meant by the group there.
Okay.
There are definitely some issues associated with funding. There's not a lot of funding that's required to run these cultural walks, but definitely funding is definitely a limiting factor.
Also, if I could add, one of the limiting factors is the capacity of our Ngunnawal people to actually carry out so many, if you like, so many activities, because the demand is high. We all want to know, we all would like more information, but they are not many in number to be able to support some of the things that's requested of them. So there is a capacity issue as well as a funding issue.
Cool. Now, next question is from Dot. Do you guys use part-time employed Landcare professionals to cover your extensive office work?
Yes, and that's what we're referring to in terms of the coordinators. So Landcare ACT is the peak body with a number of member groups. So as the peak body and our member groups all have part-time employees to support that work, yes.
Yeah, the central issue is having the coordinators and then having our CEO. All the rest of us volunteer, but you do need the central people to be able to do on-ground and administrative and political linkages.
Fantastic. Now we have 3 comments. Let me just read them out. One comment says, Lovely background picture, but speaker disappearing and reappearing is a bit distracting. It might be best to stick with the actual background to improve technology. So that's comment from an audience. The other comment is from Helen. Great that you have such an extensive volunteer base as well as funding. So that's cool. Now, and Joseph says, congratulations to the Red Hill Bush Region Group in the ACT for winning the Community Media Landcare Award for 2021. So these are all the comments. Yeah,
Well,
and all the questions.
Can we conclude then, if it's getting towards the end, to say thank you to everyone for listening to us. And I also want to thank all the Landcarers across the nation, because it really is a special arrangement, and you know, it's all the local activities that actually build together to give us the resilience and the healthy environments that we're actually trying to strive to present to the next lot of people who come after us. And also concluding, the future is not somewhere we're going, it's something we're creating, and Landcarers are certainly creating something better for the future, I think, than where we're at. So thank you all to all Landcarers.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks very much, ladies, and all the participants. It was very informative and inspiring. So it was an awesome session. And for those who want to join this stream again, we will kick off in 45 minutes. So I'll see you then. Cool.